Do you know most people that die from cancer could have prevented themselves from doing so if they would have just taken the time to respond and acknowledge what their body was saying to them earlier on in the process? Especially those that got prostate and colon cancer. Like, they could have got out in front of that way earlier. But when we start prioritizing other things above our health, there's a deeper rooted issue there that we need to explore and find out what's going on. What's up, good people? Welcome back to another episode of Believers in Business podcast. I am your host, Brian Adamson. Do y'all know y'all some of my most favorite people to hang out with? Like, if there's anything that I look forward to is shooting these episodes, right? Because I know for the people that listen to this podcast, and those of you that are in our Believers in Business community are unique in the sense that y'all are dedicated to living a level 10 life. And so that's a level 10 in your faith, your fitness, your finance, your family, and ultimately your freedom. And I know we talk a lot about mindset. We talk a lot about business strategies. We talk a lot about making money. We talk a lot about content create. We talk a lot about the fundamentals of being successful in business. And some we talk about the fundamentals of being successful in life. And today is one of those days where I want to share with y'all something that I did that I haven't done. And this past December would have made 8 years. And that is, I actually went on a 2.5 mile run. Not only did I go on a 2.5 mile run, but I actually went after that. Stretch, did probably 5 sets of pull-ups, about 50 pull-ups, did some lat pull downs, did some reverse grip lat pull downs. Now, for some of y'all workout enthusiasts, y'all probably like, I mean, that's cool, B, but what's the big deal? Here's the big deal. The big deal is about 8 years ago, as I mentioned, I ended up having to have back surgery. I had a L5-S1 microdiscectomy. So it was minimally invasive, thank God, by the time that I caught it and went. After I tried all the natural methods, chiro, injections, all of that. It got to the point where when I herniated the disc material had protruded out enough to where it was touching up against my nerve. And that nerve was actually starting to cause muscle atrophy in my right leg. So it had been like 4 or 5 months where I tried to avoid having surgery, and ultimately it came down to having to have it. And again, thank God there was enough material still left inside of my disc to where I was able to go to the Laser Spine Institute in Tampa, which has now been closed. Apparently, they had a ton of malpractice lawsuits. And so it was tens of millions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, and they shut the place down. But thank God it was cool when I guess I must have had the best of the last good surgeons. I remember being there. People were flying in from like Australia to Tampa, Florida, just to have this procedure done. So they were world renowned. They were definitely the biggest outfit in the States that were famous for, doing back surgeries. And so anyway, I had laser back surgery. It was about a 45-minute procedure. They went in and essentially they took a laser and cut off the disc material that had came out of my disc that was herniated, and then basically sealed up the area. 45 minutes later, woke me up, and some hour after that, I walked out of back surgery, which is crazy. Now, for some of you probably envisioning something much different for back surgery. And so did I, right, leading up to this point. And the thing that you envisioning also still exists. And that is for most people that end up in a situation where they have to have a fusion. Now, I know technology has improved in recent years, but traditionally for those that had to have a fusion or nuts and bolts and rods put in their back, they would be bedridden for 6 months or even more in some cases. Quality of life certainly compromised in result of that. And I never forget my surgeon told me, he said, "You play basketball?" I said, "Absolutely." He said, "You a runner?" I said, "Frequently," right? At that time I was. And he said, "Man, here's the deal. Unless somebody giving you $40 million bucks to shoot a basketball, I wouldn't do it no more. And I don't know how much you like swimming." I'm like, just look at me. How much you think I like swimming? You know what I'm saying? Now, I am a rare black guy that can't swim, but not swim like I could tread water. I could keep from drowning, right? But I'm not an avid swimmer, nor do I desire to be. It's a very boring thing to me and extremely taxing. But long story short, he recommended that I do that because it is great for strengthening the core. It is great for cardio and overall body workout. It's just not something I desire to do, to be in the water like that. So I had to get to a point where I could start doing low impact cardio, which was like elliptical, bike, very stationary, monotonous activity. And then, of course, I quit squatting stuff above my shoulders. I stopped doing deadlifts. So I changed my workout regimen to appease this new way of life, right? That he told me next time you come back in here, it ain't going to be lasers and minimally invasive. It's going to be nuts and rods and bolts. So he scared me enough to where I changed my complete lifestyle to still work out, but to work around my new limitation. And so for 8 years, I never really questioned it. I've been working out. By God's grace, I haven't had any setbacks. I've been doing everything they told me to do. But I've had some other minor injuries, if you will, issues with my shoulder, my lat muscle that's caused me to go to physical therapy and get like cupping to produce blood flow slow to the area, help it heal faster, all the rest of it. I'm going somewhere with this. I want y'all to just stay with me, okay? Hey, real quick, if you are a coach, consultant, business owner, aspiring business owner, you want to start making more money online. Maybe you stuck at that 5, 10, 20K a month ceiling. Maybe some of you are still in ideation mode. You're just like, I got to get out of this job. I know I got something in me I need to give birth to, but you can't quite figure out how to either scale it or start it. Make sure you come to our Purpose to Profits Challenge. My partner David and I are going to be showing you how to successfully grow your business online, helping you with content creation, helping you with marketing strategies, helping you with sales, fulfillment, the whole nine. Showing you our exact systems on how we went from not making 6 figures a year, not multiple 6 figures a year, but 6 figures a month and even sometimes 6 figures in a day. If that sounds like you, make sure you click the link in the description, sign up for the challenge. General admission is only $17. All right, $47 for the VIP. If you want to spend 1 hour exclusively with David and I each day and ask all of your questions specifically, make sure you get the VIP ticket. We will see you there, and get back to the episode. At the end of 2024, I started to really wonder, like, because as I was seeing these physical therapists, they looking at my overall makeup and they're like, and I would bounce it off of them randomly, right? Like, you guys think I could run? Like, I had microdiscectomy L5S1 8 years ago. They told me essentially, like, unless somebody giving me a big check, don't go out there. And so they were like, man, I highly recommend you go see our orthopedic surgeon here at the facility. So in the last year, I went for a second opinion and she was like, look, do you got some degeneration in your lower back and your disc? Certainly. But as you age over 40, I mean, most do. She said there's nothing about your scan that looks alarming that I would tell you you can't run. What I would tell you is go out there, see how your body feels, and just reintroduce it gradually, right? That's what I did, right? I looked up some different warm-up exercises, bridges, lunges to kind of activate the glutes and whatnot before I started running. Start with a moderate to brisk walking pace, and then after that, start putting some strides together. And so the first time I went out, I was really timid with the whole process, so I was super sensitive to listening to my body. I don't know that I even jogged a mile that particular day. Second time I went out, a little bit more. And then today, I actually like downloaded a tracker. I wanted to see how far I was going. And yeah, I put 2.5 miles in. And as I completed it, as I got out the gym, I'm just kind of walking, having a conversation with God. And I'm like, man, the stuff that we overlook is blessings. To be 41, to go run 2.5 miles, to have had back surgery where they said that I probably could or should never do that again. And not only just to go and put the miles in, but then to still get some weight training in thereafter. It's an amazing, amazing thing that I bring to you guys today. As I told you, anytime I share with you a story about me, it's really about you. Because whether self-diagnosed or medically diagnosed, I'm sure many of you out there have accepted something to be true about your physical situation or your health as a whole that you believe has inhibited you from doing certain things. And my conversation to you today is this: the body is meant to move. The body also heals itself in a lot of ways based on how God created us. God also gave us wisdom in the form of physicians that should help to safeguard, prevent, and or fix said issues that we have. But we also have to be mindful of the fact that we should be doing as much as we possibly can for as long as we possibly can, while preventing us from also putting us in a dangerous state of injury. So although before I had back surgery, I probably used to run 3, 4, 5 times a week, right? Depending on the week. I limited myself to once a week, and that's a good place for me. If I could go out and put 3 miles in once a week and just listen to my body, here's the reality. 8 years ago, I wasn't doing it at all. 8 years ago, September of 2016, I found myself having to sleep on my knees because all of a sudden I had a herniated disc and didn't understand why. I couldn't walk, literally. I couldn't lay on an MRI table long enough to have my MRI done. I had a failed MRI because I was in so much pain. I had to check myself in the hospital to get morphine to stay in there, and I was still drenched in sweat. I was in so much pain, even with the morphine drip. So when you look at that, and then you look at, wow, I can go and do simple things I love to do, like jog and weight train, it gives you a different appreciation for your health. And saying all of that, everybody that listens to this pod is seemingly interested in producing your quality of life, having money, having means, having freedom. But what's the sense of getting all this financial freedom, time freedom, if you're bound by your health? And so some of you, I'm sure, get up in the morning and your feet are swollen. Others of you, your knees hurt. Others, your elbow been bothering you. What I can tell you is this: as long as you have the ability to move, you should be. whether you got to put ointment on places that ache, whether you got to put bandages or supports around the joints that bother you, whatever it is, understand this, things are going to compound. So if you don't, you know how the old saying of if you don't move it, you lose it, right? The more atrophy that sets in, the more sedentary that you become, the more that your body is going to actually hurt. I was talking to my physical therapist about this, and she was like, I'm well into my 50s and I feel phenomenal. Do I have aches in the morning? She was like, certainly, but they're not because I'm sedentary. It's because I'm active. And she was like, the people that I see that come in here, business owners, people that have desk jobs, people that sit around a lot, the type of pain that they're in is far worse than any pain that I would endure from staying active. And I just found it to be true. Some of the worst time in my life was when I had to be more sedentary after I had back surgery. Although I walked out of there was a very long process to getting back to doing normal stuff, right? And so it was a lot of sitting around, and I could get up and walk for a little bit, but then I have to come sit more and lay more and all the rest of it. And your body really just doesn't respond well to that. And so I just want everybody to understand that the real wealth is health. Don't matter how much money you got, don't matter how much time freedom you have, if your body limits you from enjoying all of that, if your health limits you from enjoying all of that, then what's the point really at the end of the day? That's the way it really is like, what's the point? If I amass all of this time freedom, this financial freedom, but then I'm walking around with an oxygen tank on, or, my diabetes is constantly, causing swelling, and it's no excuse, right? It's no excuse. Everybody who's interested in making money needs to be more interested in making sure that they're healthy as they're making money. And so if you don't prioritize your self-care, I think there's a deeper thing to look into. The why behind, why do you not find it to be important to take care of you before you take care of anything else? Like, that's a legitimate question that we need to ask ourselves. If we aren't prioritizing our health and our self-care, it's time that we take a pause and understand, why do we not find ourselves to be priority? Why is it that it's not important to us to be operating at our highest and best self at all times? And I know that sounds like an oversimplification, but it legitimately is a question, right? And by the way, this is coming from a guy who let himself go in his early 20s. 2006, I lost 60 pounds, right? Never thought I could gain weight. And then the first 20 was kind of cool. And then the 5 and 10s, y'all know, for those of y'all that didn't put on excessive weight, they add up. But I lost 60 pounds 18 years ago and made a vow to myself that I wasn't putting it back on no more. But I can tell you that when I look back at that time in my life, I cared about a lot, but I didn't care about me enough. It was almost self-destructive back then. And that's what I mean by, I want you all, if you in that position, to do some soul searching to really figure out, why is it that you don't prioritize your health? It's a deeper thing there, right? At that time in my life, if I got to be honest, I didn't love myself a lot back then. So the pursuit of other things were distractions from that, because when you love yourself, there's no way that your stomach has been hurting for 2 weeks and you don't go to the doctor. There's no way that you bump your head and you've been having a headache for 2 weeks and you don't go talk to somebody about it. There's no way that you got a cut on your body that, because you haven't treated it properly, has turned into an infection, and you got to wait until your whole leg is a different color before you go. Like, there's no way that happens when you love yourself, because one of the most primary functions of our brain is self-preservation. It's to protect us. This is why people have this anxious response to things that seem abnormal. For some of you, if you got to write a big check, you get the anxiousness. For some of you, starting something new, you get this fight or flight feeling. It's because your brain is signaling to you that, hey, that's danger. Because your brain don't know any better. The only thing it knows is that it's something new and foreign. So your brain, one of its most primary functions is to keep you safe. So if that be true, and you find yourself having these ailments that you really can't explain, and you put them off for weeks and months at a time without going to see, do you know most people that die from cancer could have prevented themselves from doing so if they would have just taken the time to respond and acknowledge what their body was saying to them earlier on in the process? Especially those that got prostate and colon cancer. Like, they could have got out in front of that way earlier. But when we start prioritizing other things above our health, there's a deeper rooted issue there that we need to explore and find out what's going on. And beneath the surface of it all, my guess would be that there's a lack of self-love, because anything that you truly love, you take care of. And so this is a challenge to everybody, whether you killing it on this level, congratulations. Whether you have been neglecting yourself for a very long time. There's nothing worse than having ability and God take it from you because you're not using it. Do you know how many people that would kill to be in your situation, that have lost the capacity and limbs and all types of other stuff? There's sick people in the hospital that have amassed a ton of wealth that can't enjoy the money don't even matter no more. It don't even matter. So I hope that this was encouraging, maybe even convicting. And on either case, whether it was encouraging or convicting, if nothing comes out of this other than the fact that you guys start looking at your personal health and fitness journey differently, that you start taking it more seriously, that you discover what's been causing you to neglect you and ultimately do something about it. Because again, if you're listening to this pod, it's because you want a level 10 life in every area that's important. That's your health, your faith, your finances, your freedom, and your family life. And so I'm gonna always do my job in speaking to those things. And the whole purpose is for you to be able to take something and do something with it. So congratulations in advance for all of you that's taking that next step, scheduling those doctor's appointments, buying those new shoes so you can go out on the walk, getting that fitness membership at the gym, changing that diet up, whatever it is. Just start where you are. Don't worry about where the finish line is. Just understand where the starting line is. And it's right here, right now. Stick to the mission. I'll see y'all in the next one.